your darkness, my old friend. All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces. This is the end, beautiful friend. This ain't no technological breakdown. Carry on, as if nothing really matters.
Hello and welcome to the Roker Rapport Podcast. It's official, we've been relegated. We're in League One, but it's nice to be joined by our extra pod host, Graham. How you doing?
As well as can be imagined, I guess. I'm alright. I'm kind of been expecting it for a while, so I'm...
Not really the main event in the pod today, though,
No.
We're joined by Danny Collins.
Good afternoon.
And we're also joined by Chris Brown.
What's going on? Alright.
Nice to see you, thanks for coming in.
No problem, brother.
Did you just get to watch the match yesterday?
Go on, Chris.
Good start, innit? Yeah, I went. It's the first time I've been back since I left. And obviously couldn't have picked the worst day, but I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed seeing all faces and that, but the game itself was obviously crap.
Yeah, it was. Right, we'll jump into a 3-word review of the game. So this is what the Roker Report readers and listeners had to say. My mate Mark Anderson says, I hate football. Craig Dale says, Steele was okay. I'm not reading all that. Hannah says, I hate Sunderland. A lot of these aren't 3 words, are they? Kyle says, Aldi football team. Kyle says, shite football again. Mark Cameron says, still lose this. It's the hope I can't stand, says, utter shite. Kyle's gone mad on this, hasn't he? There's a few from Kyle. Tom Atkinson, certainty, still heartbreaking. Here we go. I like this. Sam, utter fucking wank. Mark, write it yourself. Lee Taylor, about fucking time. Al B, sorry, here we go. Fuck off short. Tom, we played today, question mark. David, years of ineptitude. Adam, I don't know. SAFC, North Yorkshire, bag of shite. Aye, so, I don't know what to say really. Relegation.
It was just loads of positive words there, just reading through, but it's none of them, you're right, none of them were actually 3 words.
No,
a lot of them were 4. Utter shite is technically actually only
weren't getting the concept,
2 words.
I think a lot of people were drunk last night.
I wonder why, yeah.
Aye, so Graham, what did you make of the game? You were in the players' lounge, I believe.
I was, Chris thankfully sorted a ticket out for us yesterday, which in any other week would probably be a bit of a treat. But so it's a bit of an odd one. It was it's been the whole season though has been sort of inevitable though, hasn't it? It's been we knew Darren Bent was going to score yesterday. No one thought that wasn't going to happen.
Danny, have you got Darren Bent's number or not? Can we ring him? We'll give him a ring and just tell him some abuse.
Just randomly lost it in the past 5 minutes. No, yeah. I get that. I was
chatting to Graham, I think obviously I'm gathering he was taking a bit of flack from the fans.
It was not from me. I just thought, what's the point? Because I could see what was going to happen. He did get some abuse, but I was annoyed that the likes of Catamol and O'Shea just let him do it. They were there when it happened. I know it's tit for tat in football, but I just thought he is really taking the piss out of a fan base who have had the piss taken out of them a lot.
Yeah, but I can only speak from a player's point of view. I think if you're getting a bit off the opposition's fans, I know obviously he played here and he had a decent season in his first one, I think, didn't he? But inevitably you're going to give a bit back if you are, taking a bit of flack. And obviously the situation there in Burton themselves, for him to get the goal late on, and then obviously what followed that didn't help either.
Chris, you mentioned it was your first time back since you left. Just how different is the atmosphere and the feeling around the club?
It was just a strange atmosphere. Right, as soon as I got there, obviously it looked like the writing was on the wall anyway, but I don't know, it was just a very sombre mood, and even when they went 1-0 up, I just thought it's just something not right. And then obviously the last, you could see it was gonna happen.
What was the crowd yesterday?
I don't know what the number was, but I was in the South Stand. I haven't been to as many games as I should have this season, but I thought the atmosphere was actually really good. I don't know how it looked from your point of view.
It's the first time I've sat sort of away from the Southwest in what's probably been about 20 years. And you could hear them loud and clear through it, and they were supporting them when Burton sort of had a couple of chances with 20 odd minutes to go or something like that. But it's I remember when we went down with I think it was with the 15 points in the season that came after that, and I think it was a similar level of like low point in terms of where we were as a fan base and as a team. And I mean, you'll remember it because you were both more or less you were both on the side then at that point. Yeah. And I think we started the first 5 games and we lost them, but I never felt like the stadium was like dead. I think a lot of it comes from the fact that no matter how well the team plays, or even if we put a few runs together, we know that as long as Ella Short's here, nothing much is going to change. Like when we went down with the 15 points, even though we lost those 5 games, we knew we had a manager to come in. We knew we had Quinny made mistakes, of course he did, but he had like the interest of the club at heart. He was always there. Ella Short's like sitting in some mansion in Texas and just letting Martin Bain like run the ship, which he's not running very well. And I think that's the problem, is that there's no takeover on the horizon, so it doesn't matter whether you play well on a Saturday really, because the week after it's just going to be as bad, and the team's not going to get strengthened. Coleman's going to be given no money to buy or anything like that. So there's like we've been saying it for about a season and a half, like there's an apathy like in the fan base, and it translates to the stadium and the pitch, because we've been in situations similar-esque before, like especially at the start of this season where we've been relegated and we're feeling a bit down and feeling a bit sorry for ourselves, but we've always had something to cling on to. Like when Quinny took over, we had Mick McCarthy back on the 19-point season, stuff like that. But you fast forward to now and you just think, what is there to cling on to? Exactly, yeah. Where is the positive?
Dark cloud over the club. Like I say, until that changes with the owners and whatever, it's just going to be the same.
Yeah. What was it like from a footballer's perspective, somebody that like knows a bit more about the tactics of the game, like the fundamentals? What did you think went wrong for Sunderland? Do you think it was like a confidence, or
in general, or
on the pitch yesterday?
Yeah. I couldn't see them scoring up until like 70 minutes out. I thought they're comfortable, and that's just been a pattern of the season by all accounts. That the longer the game goes, they just seem to drop a little bit deeper by the minute, dropping deeper and deeper, and then, like I say, the inevitable happened.
Do you think that's a confidence thing, dropping deeper and deeper and worrying about conceding it happening again, sort of thing?
I'd say that. I mean, obviously, the position they're in, the run against a rival in the relegation zone, and probably a bit of fear in there, thinking don't want to concede the first goal, but at the same time, you're the team at home, you've got to take the game to them. And as Chris has said there, obviously I wasn't there, but 70 odd minutes if you haven't created a chance or anything, it's not great, is it, when you're at home and you need to go and win a game of football?
No. Thing is, when you're in that situation as well, and from a footballer's perspective, what do you need from your manager to give that? Because Coleman's been getting a little bit of jip, rightly or wrongly, but like a lot of people have been like in terms of when a team's that low in confidence and when the fan base is where it is, like people are looking at Coleman and saying, why is Coleman not doing? I think it's 2 wins in 18 under Coleman.
There was 1 in 17 under Grayson, I think.
Yeah, 1 in 17, and people are saying, what's the difference? Grayson got all this stick and Coleman's not getting the same. Like, do you think that there's things that Coleman could be doing to change this, or do you think there's not much he can do? His hands are tied because of the situation the club's in?
I think his hands are tied. I think everybody knows that. You've just got to hope that the work on the training ground that you're doing with the group that you've already got is going to pay off. Speaking to a few of the lads, they said they can't be doing any more in training. They do a lot of stuff, shape of play, stuff like that. But it just seems to, when it comes to the Saturday, just nothing can come together for them.
Darren Bent said in his post-match comments that Burton's team talk kind of wrote itself with the empty seats, such like the bad atmosphere. The manager just said, look, you know what to do, you know how to get them down. How significant is that as a player? Do you just pick up on a bad atmosphere like that straight away?
I think so. It's a bit of a cliche, and you'll have played there where people say, these are in a bit a bad run of form, and put them on the back foot first 20 minutes, get the crowd against them, really. If you're going there as the visiting side and start well, and you can put them on the back foot, and I say it gets a bit hostile inside the stadium. As you said there's a lot of empty seats, anyway, but the ones that are in there, if you can go there as the visiting side and start well and put the home team on the back foot, and it's going to go in your favour.
Just seems like everything's a bit inevitable at the moment, doesn't it?
It does. It feels, I think everyone said before the game, Benty's going to score today. And it happened.
I wish I'd put money on it, because it was just surefire way to make money.
You're just waiting for the, and I think you pointed out really well, even when we play well for 70 minutes, I think we do just drop back, and it's a confidence thing, and the more that we do concede at the end, the more the confidence drains away the more we sit back in the 60th minute and it seems like never ending. But I think it goes back to what we said before about short, doesn't it? Until the ownership changes, that'll probably continue as a cycle, because the confidence across a fan base is just shit. For want of a better word.
Like, I don't mean to be mean, but that didn't look like the Darren Bent that I remember either. Like, obviously, he's a lot older, but he looked a bit stockier.
Yeah, he's filled out, hasn't he?
He's filled out. He was quite slow. I think the only thing he's got left is that killer instinct. Obviously, it paid dividends for him in the end, but I just thought, like, I cannot believe we've let him score against us. Like, I can't believe it. It's mad.
It'll be interesting to see how many goals have they conceded in the last 10 minutes this season.
A lot. A lot.
I mean, I just noticed the last 6 weeks it's just been...
They've had the noses in front, haven't they?
Yeah.
3 games then. 3 draws they have. They got in front in all 3 of those as well. Not been able to see games out as well, which is obviously... I mean, over the course of the season, there's a lot more games, but when you're getting yourself in front position they're in now, to try and get themselves over the line, get a couple of results, and then, obviously, especially with the running what they had left, obviously Burton, if they had picked up some points, they come into it with a bit of confidence that they could go and beat them, and then with the 2 games they've got left against Fulham and Wolves, tough games, but they would have given themselves a bit of something to go at. But
I did a bit of maths this morning. I need to double check it actually, because I think it might be wrong, but I think we'll go with it for the moment. We've had 119 league games since the start of the 2015-2016 season, and we've won just 21. Yeah, league games. That's just mad, isn't it? Like, how
well, I haven't seen Sunderland win since December 2016, and anyone who listens to the Extra podcast knows I come from Glasgow, but I haven't missed that many. I think I've missed like 5 since then, and I haven't seen, like, I missed Hull and I missed Fulham, so I haven't seen Sunderland win in about 480 days. It's really, really, it's quite depressing. It's an upsetting train ride home, always.
What did your dad make of it? Because your dad used to play for Sunderland as well, didn't he?
Yeah, my dad was lower than a snake's belly yesterday. He came in a couple of minutes before the end into the lounge, and obviously saw the second goal on the telly, and he was gutted. I think he just felt sorry for the lads, because they did put a shift in. You can't go through that team yesterday and go, he was crap. It was just one of them. It was a bad game. I don't think it was a good game of football.
No.
It was probably a game that Sunderland did deserve to get something out of, but how many times have Sunderland fans said that over the last 3-4 years?
Yeah, what was the atmosphere like in the players' lounge afterwards? Was it quite remorseful?
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, yeah. There's Audrey, the tea lady. That's another thing that affects the staff at the club, and the players understand that as well. Yeah, the manager will be saying, that affects the people above at the stadium, the cleaners or whoever. And you could see there was just an awful atmosphere, and you see the lads coming in, the players, and yeah, they'll be hurting 100%.
Coleman's confirmed he's going to stay again. Just how important do you think he'll be next season? Do you think he can get us out of League One?
I think so. I think obviously his aim taking the job this year. I was a bit surprised he took it after obviously doing well with Wales at the Euros, and his stock was quite high. I think he's obviously looked at the job and the size of the club and probably thought the position they were in when he took the job, that if I can get him safe this season, I can get me squad together for next year, I can have a good go at it and try and get him back up into the top flight. But obviously, as you say, he's come in there, he's took over the group of players, he's added 1 or 2, albeit it's not really his squad, and it's not worked out for him yet. But I gather that he's the type of fellow who looks a bit of a fighter, and he won't be happy, obviously certainly won't be happy with what's happened, but he won't want it on his CV too long, and he'll want to come back and have a good go at it next season.
I feel for him because his stock was really high, wasn't it?
It was. But you tell you what, if it's going into next season, if they haven't won after 4 or 5 games, you've got to be asking questions, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think I quite like him, obviously, with me Welsh connection. I sound like I mention this on every pod, but my dad's Welsh, so I support Wales. And I've always really liked him, but I think you've got to accept that he has made a few tactical mistakes. I think we're persisted with 5 at the back for too long. I don't know if you agree with that, Graham.
I completely agree. I think out of the whole of the lads that write for Roker Rapport, I think I've been the one that's been most vocal about Coleman not really impressing us, to be honest with you, because I think there's a lot of problems, but I think we're united as one, aren't we? If it's not just a case of like it's the fans' fault, it's the chairman's fault. We know where the big problems lie, but the form doesn't lie. I think Coleman can get more out of the players that he's got, and I think the signings he's made, maybe his hands were tied behind his back, but I think there's got to be better options than people like Jay Clark-Salter. I'm sure he'll turn out to be alright, in the end, but people like Jay Clark-Salter's 18, 19, coming into a relegation battle in a division he's never played in after only playing in under 23s. No, I don't understand how that makes sense at all.
I think as well, you're looking at that yesterday. I don't know what was up with Cornier, but if he's still on the pitch,
Yeah, it'll change when he went
I
off.
agree with you on that.
they don't get that header in. He's not
No.
scoring from there with him on. So little things like that cost you.
He looked injured when he came off, because obviously where we were sitting was in front of like the players, the dugout, sorry. And when he came over, he seemed to speak to, I think it was the team doctor for a little bit, but then he didn't go down the tunnel or anything like that, so maybe it was just like a little niggle. But like, you're right in what you're saying. As soon as he went off, the defence like shit the pants, for want of a better word, didn't they?
As a player though, like you know, you need to win the game. You'd like to think that he's getting through. He's got through 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Aye.
You know, and he wasn't coming off on a stretcher. You know, but ultimately it's costing. Like,
Changing mentality with stuff like that as well, isn't it? I mean, I remember you only have to rewind back to 10 years ago, and I can't think of any. I mean, Coney had a good game, and I don't want to single him out as the only one, but there's definitely attitudes of certain players that won't finish those last 20 minutes if they've got a little niggle. Some of them won't even turn up. Mr. Rodwell.
Pounding the swear jar.
you know, you think
sorry,
lads that
mate.
you played with, and you'd have to physically drag them off. You know,
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm going to say it, but there's been players in at my time at the club there. I had 1 or 2 run-ins with certain players and that, but there are
Dig them out, Danny.
No, I don't know.
We all knew who you mean.
They were on the cast. But
Tell us after.
certain players who, as Chris has said there, they'll, you know, if you've got a knock or something, you can get through it. You know, I was one. I never want to come off unless I needed. You know, ridiculous. Like, but as you say, that I don't know what injury he had yesterday, whether he's his hamstring or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, as Chris is saying, now you're in a relegation dogfight. 15 minutes left or other, you know, you try and drag yourself through, you know, as you say, balls coming in the box and there's a big old lump and you need him in there to be heading balls out, and from what you're saying there, you know, one of the goals has perhaps come around where he could have helped the team.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's just come over the top of Clark Salt, hasn't he, for the
Yeah, I mean the equaliser was at my end, and I haven't seen it since, but I still can't really work out what happened. Like I don't think Steele was at fault, but
No, he wasn't. I think it was unsighted. He's managed to get something on it.
Actually made
Darren
a
Ben
good
just seemed to be
save.
there, and I was just
He's barely got anything on the header, and it's just
yeah, it like kind of
practically
floated
trickled
in.
over the line.
Was there anybody that impressed you yesterday, despite the loss?
Paddy McNair.
Paddy McNair, I thought Honeyman was a nuisance as well for the first half.
I think Paddy McNair, I mean, it's going to be unfortunate for Sunderland fans because he looked head and shoulders above any of their team. You know, you think any top championship clubber, and he can play centre half, play centre mid. I just thought his composure on the ball was very good.
Just saying yesterday, like the more like his name goes on the score sheet as well, the more other teams are going to go, hang on, that's 3 and 3. And I mean, he
Especially
scored from like
Sunderland
30
Some
yards
belters
out.
as well, aren't they?
Aye, and
All of them have been belters.
You can
Yeah,
pick
they
him
are.
up for pennies now, can't you? He's not going to be. We're not going to get the 5 million or whatever we paid back for him. No one's going to bid that, but they're going to bid enough to be quite tempting, because I think it's been shown, you know, we're all thinking that we're going to be getting like a bit of a purge of the playing staff, but I think it's been shown that Martin Bain's not that good of a negotiator. He'll send them all out on loan and we'll get nothing back. So for anyone to think we're going to get good money that's going to make it worth it to get rid of arguably at the minute probably our best player who'll be head and shoulders above anyone in that league, I think we'll get maybe $1.5 million, 2 million, something like that.
What route do you think they're going to go down then, in terms of, do they go with youth or the loans?
I would like to see us go with youth and build the team around Gooch, who by all accounts was devastated yesterday. Honeyman, players like that, proper grafters. And to be honest, I would like to see us not rely on the loan market. I mean, if we've got to for bodies, then fair enough. But I think we develop other people's players.
Start of the season, you want your own squad.
Yeah. Plus, if it gets to January and we need reinforcements, then fair enough.
But if you go into the Premier League and getting young lads, 18, 19-year-old playing League One, it's not an easy league.
No, it's not
completely different to this under 23. And can you rely on them to come into a struggling environment?
It's different football, I think. I had this discussion last week. We've got a couple of lads who come to our place. We've got a lad coming from Villa, one's from Norwich. We've had a lad from Derby. It's a different ball game to playing nice football on a Saturday morning at 10:30 kick-off on a nice training pitch.
No pressure.
20, 30 people watching it. You have it, we have it, sort of pedestrian type football, as opposed to going to League 1, League 2 games where a lot of aerial battles with.
I can see you've got a scratch.
Yeah, I know. It's a mistake. But you know, you're coming up against it. It's a tough old league to get into, and it's a learning curve for these lads. You know,
and the lads they're not 18, 19, some of them. Like Ambles Gooch, he's 22, 23,
22,
Honeyman,
yeah.
23.
But see, we have a problem in the way we've kind of matured these lads as well. Like, we've kept them in the youth teams for too long. We haven't really sent them out on loan. And they've come in, they've done the best they can, and they obviously care. But I know Henderson went out, Colback went out, Pickford went out on loan. And these lads have gone on and done decent things, but Gooch and Honeyman haven't really had that. I think Honeyman was at Gateshead for 8 games or something like that. So they've been come in expected to make an impact, and obviously haven't been able to save us. But I think it's a shame.
It's a tough one. I mean, they probably haven't played 50 league games, have they?
No, probably not.
But the Sunderland's players, you might as well next season start integrating them in. It almost just say, right, you're going to be in the team all season.
Yeah.
And see where we are, rather than going to whoever and getting an 18-year-old who hasn't kicked the ball, probably doesn't want to be there.
And if you look at the success stories that we've had this season, I mean, people might disagree with me on this, but I think Honeyman's been probably far and wide one of our best players.
I think he's been player of the season.
And I think I love watching Lyndon Gooch. I think I mean, in the players' lounge yesterday, he was gutted. He wasn't speaking to anyone, wasn't even speaking to his lass. And I just thought, that's a lad that genuinely feels it the same way that we do. And I think that's got a bit of quality as well. And I think, you know, they've played, well, Honeyman's probably played about 40 games, Gooch has probably played about 20. There's got to be some players that, you know, give them 10, 15 games in that league, like in the League One, and I think, you know, potentially there could end up being slight success stories. We're not a Premiership team anymore. We don't have to look at these players like Honeyman and Gooch and say, can they cut it in the Premiership?
Yeah.
They've got to cut it in League One. The likes of Tommy Robson, who's obviously just gone to Falkirk. I'm living up in Glasgow, and
Beadland's the one for me as well.
Well, I work with a Falkirk fan and a Dunfermline fan, and they both absolutely rave about them. And I think, I mean, I don't watch Scottish Championship football that much, to be honest, but it cannot be that much different to League One. It's not a massive gulf, is it?
No, you wouldn't think so. No,
Probably not, no.
I mean, it's a learning curve when you come from, as you say, that sanitised under-23 style football, and then you're playing up against a defender whose mortgages on the line on the win bonus or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to teach you a few things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the best thing I ever did. You know, going out playing in League Two.
You did Doncaster? Did you say?
I went to Donny, and it was an eye opener. But at the end of that season, I just felt like I could. And I've said to you before, Graham, that managers, you get the trust of the manager then.
Yeah.
You know, they've seen that you can go and play in big games on a Saturday when there's thousands there, and let's say people are trying to get the 3 points for the bonuses or whatever. It can only be good for the player.
Because you came back and played against, was it Crewe, wasn't it? You first came back and went and scored 2 goals after that loan, more or less.
That was, yeah, well, I had the season at Donny, and then it was the beginning of the next season.
That's right,
at Crewe, yeah.
McCarthy was good for stuff like that. He brought a few of the young lads to give them a bit of trust, and that. They didn't all work out, but I just think I don't see, you know, where the negative is of, and I don't mean like throw the kids in, because, you know, sometimes our young lads get absolutely battered like in the under-23s, but there's been enough success stories, I think, from the academy recently, and I don't mean the Hendersons and the Callbacks, I mean the likes of Honeyman and Gooch, who've come through and been, if there is any bright sparks from this season, it's been them. I don't see a problem with it, but you might be right in what you're saying. A lot of these young lads that are coming through haven't been like they haven't got battle scars because they haven't been allowed to go out on loan. From what I've been told, they've been stopped from going out on loan, and now you've got the likes of Beadland and that going.
Sorry, Graham. Gooch went to Donny, didn't he?
Who went?
Lyndon Gooch went to Doncaster.
He did. He did. He went to Donny for a bit.
He wasn't all that great, but he's probably came away knowing what's expected to. You know, you need a bad experience somewhere to think, right, I need to knuckle down now, because it's not all this, you know, being at a Premier League club, getting everything done for us. He's probably gone to Donny where it's a bit of an eye opener for him, and then thought, right, I'm going to buckle down and make sure that I give it a go. Yeah, you
know, from what we've heard and stuff like that, and I mean everything's hearsay, isn't it? But the likes of Beadland and Robson, Robson's obviously left. They actively wanted to go out on loan, and they had the appetite for being like, well, you know, let us show you what I've got and let us come back.
I think they've had to force the issue though to be allowed to go out on loan, which is the worrying thing for me.
And I don't know the reason really behind it, but I mean, you look at the likes of Reece Greenwood, looked head and shoulders 3 years ago above the rest of the players. Allardyce gave him his debut, and now he's 23 and he's had to go to Gateshead because he hasn't been allowed to go out on loan. I mean, who's actively seeing the issues we have in the club, knowing that we have no money, knowing that we might have to use these lads because we're likely to go down, and not allowing them to have like a year out on loan? I
think we're doing a disservice to the lads as well, because I think they're in a bad position when the contract with Sunderland ends, aren't they?
And I was saying 22, 23 is not that young, really.
No.
Is it? I mean, I bet you played 150 league games.
Yeah. Obviously, I came the other way. I got my learning curve because I was at Chester, so I'm in League 2 conference, and then coming here was a big eye opener for me going the other way. But I knew obviously what it was all about doing it the other side of it. Whereas, as you say there, by the time I came to Sunderland, great training ground, stadium, everything's set up for you. And half of these boys that were there, the 18, 19-year-old boys around the training ground, probably thought, well, this is crushed it, I've made it here. But they haven't, as you say, until they go out to a League 1, League 2 club to get some experience and stuff, and they're not going to know anything different.
We'll go for a bit of light relief. I was at the Peacock for the Wise Men show yesterday with you, Chris, and you told an amusing story about Mick McCarthy used to kick you up in the air.
Yeah.
You thought he didn't like you.
Yeah, I was beginning to think it was personal a little bit. You remember that?
Yeah, I do actually. Now you mentioned it.
He'd just plonk himself at centre half, whichever team I was on.
He always used to play in training, did he?
He'd just join, if he had a five-a-side or whatever. And I don't know, there was times when I didn't even have the ball and he'd just literally run it in the back of us and that, and elbows, and he never said afterwards or why he was doing it. But I know now, looking back, that's what he was trying to do. If there was a ball coming into the box and I wasn't getting across it, he was shouting, fucking.
Go for it, mate.
As much as you want.
That's just, I think, because he liked a big man. He had Kevin Kyle there. He's always liked a big target man, and he obviously saw that I could be doing a lot more with me size. But it was funny. It's funny looking back at it.
I can imagine him being quite the competitor, actually.
I love Mick McCarthy. I absolutely love him. I know some people talk about the relegation season, but whenever he's on TV, I just watch him. Yeah. I'm just like, he's going to say something funny.
I thought it was marvellous the way he left Ipswich, like the sheer panic on the journalists, in the journalists' voices when he just went, right, I'm going. They were all just like, what? Give us a line, please. Like, shit.
I wasn't very happy with the performance, but I don't have to worry about it anymore because I'm off. It's out.
Typical of the guy, really, isn't it?
It was. To be fair, to be honest, he was honest as it is. He called, if the lads come down the corridor on a Friday and if he was thinking obviously of dropping boys, he'd shout them in his office. Honesty and let you know that's what you want as a player, isn't it? You get some managers who they'll put the team up at 1:30 on a Saturday. So some lads struggle to get their head around that, don't they? You'd rather know when you're on a Friday. Get your head around it Friday night, and then you're prepared, ready, rather than 20 minutes before you used to go out for a warm up. And Mick was honest like that and tells it as it is, really.
And it didn't matter if you were 18-year-old or 32-year-old. He spoke to you exactly the same way. You just I was probably 18, 19. He spoke to me the same way as he'd speak to Marcus Stewart. At 10, 12 years older than me.
How good was Marcus Stewart? He scored the first ever goal I saw at the stadium. Well, I didn't see it actually. It was my first ever game. I missed the goal because my mother wanted to go for a coffee, but he scored it. What was he like in training?
Good, wasn't he? Good Stewart.
Yeah.
Nasty little side to him a bit as well. I thought good finisher, wasn't he? And a good character.
Yeah, he was brilliant. But it's probably the same what he said about Bent, because Stewie was at the end of his career really at Sunderland, but you just knew that he knew where to be. He's the little things that you can't probably teach. It's just experience of getting across people, being at the right place at the right time, and he popped up some vital goals, didn't he, for us?
Yeah. Obviously his pace had sort of gone under by then, but he didn't need it, so to speak. First 5 yards in his head and getting in positions and stuff.
It's funny you talk about like Marcus Stewart. I'll tell you one thing that I find quite interesting. It's like I think you've both been in the situation like we're talking before, like not where we are now, but like obviously you've both had that experience of being relegated from the Premiership. And I think obviously when we came down, when Quinny was manager, we struggled at the start. But one big thing I remember is he brought in Roy Keane, brought in like Kavanagh, Connolly, brought in a lot of experienced heads, and that seemed to change that. Was it? But a lot of people look at Roy Keane as being the thing that changed it. But how much did it help having the characters of like Kavanagh and that team? And do you think that's maybe what Coleman's missed, that he hasn't had the money to spend it on players that he trusts, that he knows are the right characters that are going to come in and go, what the fuck's going on here? Let's sort it out and move forward. Do you think we kind of missed that? Like we've signed too many young boys that are not big enough characters, whereas previously Roy Keane was like bringing big characters with big experience and could lead the younger lads through. I think we've missed that because there's only O'Shea and Cattermole and
no, I think you're right. I think he obviously sort of Liam Miller came in, didn't he?
Yes,
You know,
Liam Miller, yeah.
You know, two big characters there for you straight away. As you say, Cav came in.
Dave Connolly.
Great song.
You know, obviously Danny Simpson and Johnny were young lads at the times, but, you know, obviously been a good pedigree. And, you know, Johnny's obviously gone on to bigger and better things since. And so he did bring in some good characters and probably there's a good mentality around them players. And obviously, we, as you said earlier, we got off to a bad start. We lost the first 5, didn't we, under Quinny? Then Roy came in, brought a lot of players in a short space of time, and we kicked on from there. I think we had 22, 23 games unbeaten, didn't we? Went on a good run and catapulted us at the top end of the table. So.
One of my favourite times ever, that. Brilliant. Was it Easter Monday when we beat Southampton 2-1? Ledbetter scored?
That's it, yeah.
Well, was it a bit annoying for you that Roy Keane didn't really want to celebrate that promotion? Because he didn't want to do the open top. I can see why. At the time, you know, as you said, you know, you've already been up, you've just come back down, you know, so I can see why. If they hadn't been, Sunderland been in the Premier League for 20 years or something, or 10 years, then understand it. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? But obviously, having just come down, he's probably thinking, well, it's not that big an achievement in terms of you only went up 2 years ago. Yeah. So you come back down again. So would you like to have that memory though, looking back? Like,
well, we had one the first time round under Mick. Anyway.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So you know, that was a good experience and it was a good day and stuff. But yeah, I can from Roy's side of it, I can see where he's.
I think it was the likes of Darren Ward and whatnot. I remember Darren Ward spoke about it and he said it was like the biggest thing for him. And I think probably like you were saying, you had it under McCarthy and you had that experience. I suppose for people like, but as you know, what as a fan, I kind of liked it. For me, it was kind of like sticking your chest out and it's like, we're Sunderland, we're bigger than this. That was a good thing to do, because when we went up, it didn't feel like we were, and I know we were, but it didn't feel like we were relegation candidates. It felt like, you know, under Roy
really
Keane,
pleased to be there.
If we're going down fighting 100%.
Right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with a bit of a light-hearted humour, I think. Why not? Hello and welcome back to the Roker Rapport Podcast. We're going to have a bit of a light-hearted relief and discuss why Chris Brown was suspended from first team duties when, how old were you?
17.
17, and it was a paintballing incident, I believe.
Yeah.
Talk us through what happened.
Well, it went on for a couple of weeks. The actual process of from buying the... We went after training, we went...
From buying the goods.
Cut the crap.
I thought you were going to say the suspension.
No.
It was a well thought out thing.
It wasn't just one thing. We did it for weeks.
Case went on.
Yeah. Me and about, must have been 8 or 9 of the lads went to the gadget shop in town.
The Bridges.
That's a throwback.
In the Bridges.
Gadget shop.
Just having a little look around, you know, just little joke things that we used to mess about with. And it definitely wasn't me, but somebody's picked up this little plastic toy gun, paintball gun. I think it was like, I don't know if it was 3 for a tenner or something. It was that, you know. And on the packaging it said not to be used by people over 3, like people younger than 3. And you buy the little paintball sachet things that you went with it. Right, exciting this. Let's go. Let's head for the seafront. So, like I say, there was basically 4 of us got caught, but there was a lot of lads in that youth team who were lucky, put it that way, who were involved. And so we just go down the seafront, an absolute convoy of cars, and just picking people off. You know, it definitely wasn't dangerous. That might be a lie, but it didn't hurt you. It didn't hurt you.
Not a proper paintball gun.
No, it wasn't a proper. It was like a toy, toy gun. And this went on for a couple of weeks. It was obviously great fun at the time. You know, just anybody sort of a bus stop or something, just stick one in the back and just watch it explode on the back. You know, 17-year-old, we were
it does sound like good
stupid.
fun,
So this went on for a couple of weeks. Obviously, more and more of the lads had invested in these guns. So there was a bigger convoy of cars going down the seafront.
But the gadget shop were pleased.
The profits were through the roof.
Footfall just going up.
So then this one particular day, there was just 4 of us gone out, dunno, again down the seafront or wherever. Went out for a couple of hours, and then I've gone home. Just so, right lads, I'll see you in the morning. There's a couple of lads were staying in digs, and I got a phone call about an hour and a half later from Sean Taylor. I said, Brownie, I'm just at the police station. The police came to the door. There's nothing to worry about. They said they just want to see the gun to make sure that it's not harmful or dangerous. So I says, all right. So I says, is everything all right? He says, yeah. He said, don't panic. Just bring the gun in, and then we'll be fine. So I've drove through. They've obviously said that they're through theirs away or something, but they just wanted to see the gun. So I've took it through. Sat us in a cell for 20 minutes.
Wait, was your ass twitching by this time, or?
Nah, because the cop they were laid back. They weren't. It wasn't like we were arrested, and they just said, that's fine. We just want to see the gun.
Yeah.
And he went on the way out. I said, this isn't going to go any further. It's not going to get to the club, is it? And he went, no. He said, we're just kids messing about. He said, don't worry about it. So I've gone home, reported for training the next day, walking into the academy. Yeah. And Taff was stood at the bottom of the corridor, like pretending with a fake gun. Came out like Alan Partridge.
Who was Taff?
Sorry, Taff's Ian Evans, Mick's assistant. So he's walking down the corridor, pretending to shoot us, having a bit of a laugh and a joke. So I was like, oh my God, what's happened here? Went out to train, and Mick McCarthy said, right lads, before we start, can these 4 just get in the goal and pull your shorts down? And basically bend over, we're going to kick balls at you. So it was all a bit of a laugh and this and that. Drove home after training, saw the sign outside the newsagents, SAFC firing squad. Saying that's not good. Reading up on it and whatever, and even then I didn't think that I didn't realise the severity of it.
Were the reports exaggerated?
Do you know what? I just think, because obviously at the end of the story there was a thing at the bottom saying if you had been a victim of these things, and because there was that many lads involved, who it wasn't us that did it. Could have been anybody shot them. There was people coming forward saying I was withdrawing money from the cash point and I got this on the back of my head. I put the BBC News on that night, and there was a woman from Newcastle, like one of them professional paintball things that are about a metre long, and she went, how would you like this pointed at you from a car window? And she had on her shoulder like there was a rocket launcher,
like a flamethrower.
So it just got blown massively, from my point of view, it got blown massively out of proportion. But I can't remember how we found out we were suspended. I don't know if it was Mick or I don't know, it was the chief exec, it might be Mark Blackburn or something. But he said just stay away for 2 weeks, and there were people wanting us sacked, and it was stupid, you know what I mean? We were young, but we weren't. There was no malice in it. It was just trying to have a bit of crack and whatever, and it went a little bit too far. But you know, I think because obviously people wanting us sacked and stuff. That's when I started to realise that I might have been in a bit of bother. So I stayed away from the club for 2 weeks. And then I think you played on the Saturday, and there was a couple of injuries. I think Stewie and somebody got injured.
Yeah.
Or he wanted to rest some players because we're playing the Carling Cup on the Tuesday.
Because you were the highest profile of the lads to be suspended because you'd been on the bench.
I'd been on the bench, yeah. So I think I got a lot of stick. So I think I don't know if we had a big game on the Saturday, and Mick wanted to change the team up. So I mean, I'd done a bit of training, just like in the gym or whatever, but nothing too difficult. And I've reported Monday morning, and called us into his office, and he said, right, you playing tomorrow night? I'm like, you what? He went, I'm making some changes tomorrow. He said, just, you'll be fine. He said, what's happened, forget about it. He says, just go and let your football do the talking. And I needed that massively. You know, if I'd played, didn't do that well, then that could have been me finished before I even started. But thankfully it went. What I didn't need was as soon as I got my first goal, Liam Lawrence came running over pretending to shoot us like that. Cheers, Lenny.
And Mick McCarthy was quite good about it all, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, he was brilliant. You know, I can see why they're bringing the club into disrepute, because young footballers messing about. You know, but he was always all right. You know, he seemed to have me back a little bit. And once it had happened, once I was back into the club on that Tuesday, Monday, it was forgetting about.
Yeah.
But nobody else is forgetting about it. Everywhere I go,
it's mentioned.
It's mentioned. Every club I'd signed for afterwards is mentioning it. But
so you would have been fairly senior at that point.
I'd have been 24, 25.
What are your memories about Paintball Gate? I take it
weren't you
went
involved?
involved.
I'm sure you bought one.
No.
It's like PG and Duncan in it from Bike to Go.
I do that to go in and buy it. No, I can obviously remember the goings on of it and stuff, and the stories about it. And as you say, I remember Taff actually now in the corridor and stuff and that. But yeah, from their point of view, young lads and naive and stupid looking back from their point of view. If they were 26, 27 doing it, you'd be asking big question marks as well. But
so did you find it funny at the time, or were you just like, oh, what a bunch of twats? Or what was your opinion?
Yeah, if this in this day and age with what's going on in the world recently, you look at it in a different point of view. But I think going back then, it always seems to be a bit of a crack around football clubs anyway. Some stuff like that. You'd laugh it off with the boys and stuff really, and obviously, it's carried on for Chris ever since.
Infamous for it. I've got a question here. So, what players from your careers have really helped the teams you've played for in seasons, in terms of kind of like forcing you to respond, dragging you through the mud? Who have you looked at and thought like, oh, we're going to be all right because we've got him kind of behind us?
I think obviously when I first came here, and obviously Breeny was like Breeny was the senior one. Marcus, as he's mentioned there, but Breeny was like the captain and stuff, and someone you'd looked up to. Obviously myself as a defender, and Breeny had been there and done it. Obviously Republic of Ireland and everything and stuff, and been to the World Cup, and so yeah, from that point of view, for in terms, I was 24 when I signed here, but I was a young lad in terms of experience coming from a League Two club, and to come to a club like Sunderland at that time, it was a big help in a way, looking at him in training and just learning stuff day to day at the training ground.
Yeah.
He had the same mentality as Mick. What I was saying about it didn't matter if you were 18 or 32. Like me and Breeny got on really well, and sometimes if you're a young kid or whatever, you just keep yourself to yourself. You don't really integrate them into the group. But he was somebody that made sure that within that changing room, everyone was kind of together. Yeah, and I thought he was brilliant.
I've heard that quite a bit from the lads that I've interviewed from that era, because I think I've said it with a few people, like I was never a fan of him as a player, but people are almost quite defensive, like from that era, like yourself. We spoke about Breeny before. Stephen Elliott, Andy Welsh, they've all been like, no, Breeny was like brilliant in terms of like solidifying that group. Him
He's
and Stevie
like the
Caldwell.
middleman between the gaffer and the lads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sometimes worry. I think there's a big thing, and obviously we, none of us here know, but there's a big thing when we look at there's that myth, isn't there, of the rotten core of John O'Shea and Lee Cattermole and the management and all that kind of stuff. I think, when it comes to, when I was saying to you before, was the players that you'd look to on the pitch. If you were young lads now in the team that we're in, would you be looking to the likes of O'Shea and Cattermole? Do you think they're given enough for the situation we're at? Do you think they're given enough experience and enough kind of like leadership? Because I think we've lacked a lot of it this season. I think the leadership's sadly come from the young boys, and I think that's been one of our big problems this year as well. Yeah,
that is disappointing if that's the case. But if you're a player, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're not playing well, you're looking at yourself more than anything. You think, right, I need to look after myself, get my performance right before I can start doing it. But I think again, it's recruitment. Whoever pre-season last year, you're looking and say, right, we're in the Championship. I need to get a team for the Championship full of leaders, full of experience, people who have played at this level before. And I just think that's been lacking.
Aye. It was only really McGeady, isn't it, that you brought in? Off the top of my head, I can only think of McGeady.
Yeah,
McManaman's come in. Not played too much really, but
and are they leaders? Do you look at McGeady?
Not an experienced leader in terms of that, but I think you look at him. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? He tore Gael Clichy apart in a cup final. And
true.
Won the cup. You know what I mean? So won Wigan the FA Cup in a way.
He's got something to prove as well.
Did he get man of the match?
Yeah. Did you? So you got him. You got McGeady. You mentioned Gooch and Honeyman. some good attacking play there, and
Yeah.
the goals seem to have hard to come by, whether they've missed the actual target man up there, delivering and stuff.
When you look through the spine of the teams that you played in as well, kind of just to compare them, I think the spine was an awful lot better. Sometimes they get sneered at, the likes of Gary Breen and Carl Robinson, but it was a good spine for the team then. You had
Robbo was a good lad as well.
you had like Robbo, Breen and Caldwell, and then you had Marcus Stewart up front. It was like complemented by like Sleeves, yourself, you in defence, in midfield as well. I mean, I'm trying to think, well, it had like Sir Sean Thornton and stuff like that. It was a good blend of mixed like experience and youth, but I think the spine in general was good. I think the spine we've got at the minute is probably spineless, to be honest with you. But
going back to that point there as well, myself, the situation we're in with Grimsby at the minute, we've had a tough period since Christmas. We hadn't won for 20 games ourselves. Me being I'm 37, I'm the senior lad in the team, and that's so you've got to go in on a Monday, although you might be wanting to be down yourself. You've got to go in, put a brave face on and try and pick the lads up on the training pitch. We've got a lot of young lads who've come in from conference teams, as I've mentioned there, lads coming on loan from Norwich and Derby and stuff, and if you're going out there on the training pitch with a face like thunder, then it's not going to go well with the younger boys, and that's what you've got to put on it, and you've got to get through training and try and pick them up ready on a Monday morning to go again.
On the score sheet the other week as well, weren't you?
Yeah. Prolific this year for now.
Joint top scorer.
Second top scorer. But
Indian summer.
Yeah, got a chip in. I had 3 in about the first 12 games, I think. Yeah, and I've dried up since then. But nice to get one a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, so.
I'll never forget that game against Villa. Was it Villa you scored against in the last minute? They disallowed it.
Disallowed goal.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm still angry about it.
Bastards.
One all last minute would have won the winner, wouldn't it? And I mean, I can't see what was wrong with it, to be honest. Just got above Scott Carson was in goal, wasn't he, I think, and
someone like that.
I don't know, you jump above the keeper when he's got the arm's length to get above you, and
still remember that.
Yeah, disappointing. But
right, we'll do a bit of a Fulham preview before we go into some questions. Fulham preview doesn't matter, does it really? So shall we move on?
I mean, in a sense, no, it doesn't. But it always matters, doesn't it? When it's, I mean, at risk of sounding corny here, it's Sunderland to Sunderland. It always matters to me in some way, I guess.
It matters, but like in the grand scheme of things,
Fulham away is a mint away day, though.
No, it is. I like Craven Cottage, but you don't want to get hubbed 5-0 and Mitrovic to score a hat-trick.
I was going to say he's bound to score, isn't he?
But yeah, we may as well just accept it. In fact, I might put some money on when we leave here because I missed out on the bench.
Here's a question though: if Mitrovic scores, is he going to like rip his shirt off and run around the pitch like he did last time and get all the Newcastle fans jumping on him, or do you think it'll just be a hand in the air celebration?
I don't know, but he's been flying, hasn't he? I know that's
they were good the other night. I watched them against Millwall. They were.
That's
won 3 out, didn't they?
They were class, to be fair.
Sessegnon and stuff like that. And Millwall's been flying as well.
Yeah. And they played some good football.
Right, we'll move on to some Twitter questions. Graham Field, this is one for you, Danny. Who are your 3 picks from the lower league that Sunderland should look to bring in?
I did get asked this a bit the other day, actually. Someone mentioned about Akinfenwa coming in. Obviously, I played against him a couple of times this year. He'd cause anyone problems. He's a big old lump, and whatever league, if there's balls coming in the box and that, he's an absolute handful. There's a lot of strikers in League 2 and stuff. Accrington have obviously come up this year. Billy Key's got a load of goals for them, and the lad up top with him, Caden Jackson, he was actually on loan with us at Grimsby last year, but for some reason we played him out wide on the left, but he's a striker, and he's played with Billy Key up top, and he's got a fair few goals. He's quick, and he's got a few goals this year, and they've helped them. Who else would I say? Coming from League 2, who else has been good players in our league? Hilton's got a few. James Collins, the lad at Luton. So there are some good boys. And if you go back to the time we come here, obviously I came in from League 2. Liam Lawrence came in from League 2, and Dean Whitehead. All 3 of us came in at the same time. So Mick had a good scope in the lower leagues. And if Sunderland can get the recruitment, looking at some of the boys from down there, then you can get a few in.
Yeah.
Chris, what advice would you give to our current young strikers at the club that would help with their development?
We spoke a bit about before about the loan situation. You want to be eager to get games under your belt, and if it comes to a point next season where they're not going to be in and around the first team, then they're going to have to play some games. But hopefully you get. I mean, who's the Swedish striker? I mean, there's, by all accounts, they'd be lucky to keep hold of him. And I don't know. Obviously, Fletcher will go back, won't he? So there is an opportunity there for a couple of young lads to come through. and just grasp the opportunity.
Because young Nelson's been on loan at Falkirk, and like I was saying before, I work with a Falkirk season ticket holder, and he raves about Robson, but he loves Nelson. He said he's not sure if he could reach like championship level, but he says League One, he puts himself about. He's
out for the season now, though, bless him.
He got a whack in the head, didn't he?
Yeah,
Which, but we talked about knocks and being like battle scars and stuff like that. He's not going to be frightened to go into a challenge in League One now because he's been.
It's telling as well. I was speaking to him the other day, and he stayed up there through his recovery. Nice. Like he likes it up there, so he's
Must be a good night out.
Yeah,
I can attest Falkirk is not a very good night out.
He's obviously got a bit of a rapport with the area, so he's
that's good.
He stayed up there, which is canny.
I remember, when we went down with Doncaster to League One, it was the season after Dufy and all that was there. He brought all the French lads in, and on the first day of pre-season, he sat us all down. He said, "Right, I'm going to sign a team of men." So he went and signed Rob Jones from Sheffield, who was 6'7". Jamie McComb from Huddersfield, I think it was, who was 6'6", and he just said, "Right, League One's going to be a horrible league to play in, and I just need people to head the ball out of the box." And Rob Jones, he got us promoted that year, just sheer presence, both boxers, and that's what that league's going to be about, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I think League One, League Two, it's different from Championship to Premier League, isn't it, really? There's a step down, obviously, from Premier League to Championship for the, I'll say, bottom half of the Prem to the Champ. And then I think if you go again League One and League Two, it's different football.
Yeah.
Another question for Danny from Gav. He says, what sort of impression do you think you left on the supporters after your time at the club, and what would you say your Sunderland legacy is?
I had a great 5 years there. I loved it. Didn't want to leave, obviously. I was happy here and enjoying my football, and but that happens as part of football. And obviously the 2 promotions sandwiched with a relegation in the middle of that, but again, that's a big learning curve. We had a lot of young lads that season. It was certainly my first year in the Premier League the year before, and then we came back a little bit stronger, and we had a couple of seasons after that when we came back up in the Premier League, and just a great place to play football when the stadium's rocking and things are going well. It's a great place to play, and they love the football a bit.
There's a lot of questions asking if both of you fancy playing in League One next season.
I don't think they're that desperate yet for me to come back, but
I wouldn't mind, to be fair. Yeah, 10 minutes up the
road. For Chris again, ask him what it was like to score his first goal for Sunderland, and what did your dad say?
I think I remember my first league goal more than the Crew ones, and
because Crew was in the Capital One.
Crew was
lost on penalties, was it?
Yeah. And then we played Ipswich a few weeks after. I came on 20 minutes to go, and Darren Carter's put one on a plate for us, and it was just weird. Season ticket holder at the Stadium of Light, probably 4 or 5 years prior, and then it was a dream come true, really.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was.
Danny, which manager has motivated you most throughout your whole career, and why?
I'd put Mick in me top 1 or 2 managers, definitely. Obviously, he gave me the chance to come up and play a higher level, and as we've said there, great manager, tells it as it is, and he's honest with you. And other managers, I would say Gary Speed with Wales, good. Obviously, he took us onto the next level. Just changed everything about the setup with Wales. It went more modern because he'd just finished playing himself, and we went from something like 110th in the world up to the top 50, and then obviously Chris took it on from there. The last couple of years, and so them two probably are good.
Cool. Chris, how do you think Sunderland will do in League One?
Right now, I think they'll struggle. If you're looking at what the team is, who's going to be there, obviously the cloud we spoke about that's over the club at the minute, I can't see any positivity, really. Something's going to have to give, but it's going to be all about the recruitment. Saying if you're going to spend any money, you want to look at, do you want League One experience, people that have played at that level who know how to get out of that league, or do you want to go down the route of signing young lads? I think that might have cost Coleman a little bit when he came in, because he had, by all accounts, that he wanted to play a certain brand of football, sign players accordingly, and I don't think that was required. With the amount of time left of the season or whatever, the fact that they were desperate for results, I think it was a difficult time midway through the season to start, trying to play some football, and so I think moving forward he's going to have to get, like we said, a team of men and just grind it out, because the horrible playing Saturday, Tuesday all the time.
Season, isn't it?
to balance. And I think, as you say there, you can bring a few young lads in, but you need 3 or 4 good experienced lads in there to help them boys through as well, don't you?
And the fans might not be happy with it. You know, they might sign somebody who you think, this is what it's come to. But he'll have had experience of getting out of that league. And then, you know, if they get promoted, it might not be good enough for the Championship, right? Fair enough. But he'll have done his job.
You get big parking up front.
Aye.
Might be going at the end of the
Get him
season.
in there.
He's a big lad. He can sprint. I seen that video the other day.
Look at Tony.
How do you think we'll do in League One, Graham? Because a lot of Sunderland fans seem to think we'll walk out. I've seen a couple of quite pessimistic Sunderland fans given the run we've had recently as well.
I think taking yesterday out of the equation, which was obviously a disappointing day, I think there's been some slight positivity crept back in with like the performances of McNair and Gooch and Honeyman, and we did play quite well against Reading, Norwich, Leeds, and I was quite impressed by how we played. I think a lot of it depends on what happens in the summer. I don't mean like who we're buying and who we bring in and stuff like that. I think what really needs to change is the ownership of the club, and if there's a chance of the ownership changing, I think, you know, the fan base will turn. As soon as Short goes, imagine how good that day is going to be. And I think that's what people need to concentrate on. He will be gone at some point. And I mean, I know the person that comes in might not be that great, but he's going to have at least a bit of interest for that particular season. And the sooner he comes in, how mint is that day going to be when Short just like fucks off? Like, and once that positivity comes back, when Sunderland's in a snowball of positivity, much like any club in the North East, as much as I hate saying that, if there's a snowball of positivity, it drives you on. You like, look how negative the season was when we're talking about, you know, the seasons you had when Quinny was in charge. That negativity, like, went to Southend, we got beat 3-1. I remember going down on the coach and I remember feeling that we were going to get beat. Then went to Bury and, can I get beat off Bury because of the bottom of the Football League at the time, we got beat. That negativity does snowball, but then when Roy Keane came in, and there was a different mindset and a couple of players got signed, all of a sudden that positivity snowballed and we didn't get beat for 20 odd games apart from Colchester. And I think with Sunderland, you just need to shift the mindset. If the mindset can shift by the club being sold by Short and someone coming in and just saying, I mean, it didn't even take that much when Coleman came in to say, he said a couple of positive things about wanting to be here, and there was that like little hub of positivity.
Yeah, boost, wasn't it?
That's what needs to change. I think there's been players we've brought in that are big names that have failed. There's been players that we brought in that are absolute no marks that have done well. So I think, you know, I would like to think that no matter who we bring in, no matter if it's Lambert and Butler, do you know what I mean? Like Mike Bassett sort of days, but I'd like to think the fans understand why they're being brought in. But I think if there's a positive mindset surrounding the club because the ownership has changed, I think that'll snowball, because we should realistically be looking to be coming back up. I think we will struggle if the ownership doesn't change, because that negative cloud around the club, it's going to have the same effect as had this season. We're going to get beat first 3 or 4 games and it's going to spiral on. What needs to do is something needs to change it, in the same way that when Roy Keane came in, we'd lost 5-6 games. Roy Keane came in, went and played West Brom, one of the best sides in the league, 1-2 out.
Yeah.
We went to Derby and won. You scored obviously down at Derby. Ross Wallace scored. And we just, I mean, it wasn't perfect for the first few months, but once we hit that January and you got a few of these, like Johnny Evans and Danny Simpson, and that positivity just snowballed.
It's about building confidence, isn't it? We've just unbuilt our confidence for the past 2 years. It's hard to get out of that malaise, isn't it?
We're just shattered. I think the fan base, I think that the people who are connected to the club are just shattered by...
How hard is it to turn around that confidence? So obviously you've played in relegation sides. Coming into the league, is it a complete fresh start, or have you still got a bit of a hangover?
Well, obviously looking at Sunderland's point of view there, didn't help Newcastle went the other way, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they've kicked on, and in recent weeks they're having a good time with it, and so that's not helping matters. But
like reminding us.
No, in terms of us, when you've gone down and that, you get your 5-6 weeks summer break, don't you? It's in your head for a while, and then the closer you come to getting back for pre-season training, you're getting your head ready and you're ready to go again, and you want to put the wrongs right, so to speak, and the gaffer obviously will bring new players in to freshen it up who's not had that mindset of having the relegation. They'll pull some lads through as well, as you said there. With them first 4 or 5 games we're off to a bad start. You get some fresh faces in the building and it picks the lads up as well, and the competition for places gets better, and it just all snowballs into, well, for us it did anyway, winning positivity.
Even if you look at just taking the snapshot of I remember the start of that season, I think you made a mistake against Plymouth, which allowed, I'm just got to remember the fans hammering you for it.
Was that the 3-2?
I've put it out my mind ever so slightly. Yes, it was, I think. By the end of the season, you're playing at left back, which is technically at that point was sort of out of position for you because you were centre off, but you were like a cult hero by the end of the season, and that's why I don't buy into people saying like it's hard to play under Sunderland fans. We'll give anyone a chance. You can change that mindset. I think it's just a case of being like rolling up your sleeves, being ready for the job, and changing that mindset that people have. And I think at the minute everyone just hates everyone because of the mess that we're in. But I think the only way to change it right now is for Short to kind of like remove himself and someone to come in and just be like, right, fresh start, here we go. This is League One. This is where we're at. I'm trusting whether it's Coleman or someone else that you trust to go in charge, and just injecting a bit of positivity, like two wins on the bounce, 3 wins on the bounce. On the flip side, we're feeling at the moment going into League One, what if we lose those first 4 games, but what if we win them and we've got new ownership and we've got a good team? All of a sudden, like people will go back to that stadium if we're winning in League One and we're doing well. Not because they're fickle, it's just at the moment people don't feel like there's anything to support, I think, and I don't.
It's not like our support's shocking anyway. I know the attendance is a fudge to a degree, but there's still thousands coming, and I think if anything it's a mark of how good our support has been, that the drop off is so noticeable for me.
From a player's point of view, I noticed a bit yesterday with Steely, like I just don't think nothing positive could come out of, say, when he makes a save, it's ironic cheers. Stuff like that.
In the south stand, we were quite behind him. He wasn't getting the ironic cheers. He was getting when he came out for half time, he tapped the badge and he put his fist up, and I thought it might have been a bit of a turning point for Jason Steele yesterday. Actually, from where I was sitting in the south stand, he was definitely getting a lot of support.
I mean, I was speaking to Graham yesterday about it because I was at Blackburn with him, and he is a confidence keeper, and I think footballers are, aren't they?
Especially last line of defence as well, aren't you? I've played with Campy, and I know Campy's obviously coming under a bit of flack as well, and mistake at Reading last week and stuff and that, and but I've played with him at Forest and at Rotherham. He's my keeper then. He was steady away, do you know what I mean? So when times are tough, and as I say, you're the last line of defence and you're making mistakes, it's going to play on your mind, and as you say there, if you're getting a few of the fans on your back, then I
think it's been difficult.
Try and deal with it.
Because Gary Bowyer at Blackburn, he wasn't sure if Steely was going to be number 1. And I could see it was affecting Steely. He needed somebody to come in and say, right, you're my number 1. This is how it's going to be.
He's definitely not had that here.
No, and that's
none of them have.
We were speaking about it, and it was so for the first 3 or 4 months he didn't look himself, and as soon as Lambert came in, he says, right, you're my number 1. Started praising him after game, just little things. If he kept us in the game last minute, he'd just single him out. I finished his team talk, said, Steely, you kept us in the game, outstanding, and he just grew his confidence, and he was one of the best keepers in the league. And by all accounts, beginning of this season, there was uncertainty of whether he's going to be number 1. He got brought in and out with the team, and that affects players. There's obviously
everyone plays a different manager after now, but some players need an all rounder, others can take a bollocking. It's all right. Don't they? It is, isn't it? Some lads, I play with lads and they can't take it. They go into the shell if a gaffer gets after them in the changing rooms. They shrivel and that. And as you say, you've got to know the players who need an arm around them, a little pick me up, and
it's just man management.
And I think I see that with Steele as well. I think, he did genuinely look a little bit gutted. He was trying to have a laugh and a smile and whatnot when I seen him. But I don't know the lad, but I think you can see.
He's North East lad, isn't he?
He's from Middlesbrough,
He's from Borough. But I think you can see with Jason Steele on the pitch, like there is such a confidence element of it, and sometimes it makes me think, is he better off elsewhere for his own sake and ours? I think because I think he can turn the perception around. I think anyone can. I think there's a lot of players that have done it, and I don't agree that Sunderland fans don't let it turn around.
To be fair, Liverpool have had it, haven't they, with their 2 keepers? Karius and Mignolet have been under the cosh a bit, so to speak, and Karius, they seem to be singing his praises recently, and that. So
you promote my podcast there?
Was it, mate?
Under the cosh.
Is it what you
say? I knew I'd get it in.
I was going to try and bring that in.
It is.
How much you paying him?
Go on, Chris, tell us about your podcast, where we can find it, what is it, etc.
It's a podcast I've started doing with John Parkin, who I was at Preston with. Just general stories from our playing days. We're getting different guests on every week, just talking about their careers. Releasing every fortnight. Get it on iTunes. It's called Under the Cosh, but it's without the E, so UNDR. And we're enjoying it. For me personally, it's because I fell out the game now. It's almost a bit like a therapy. Speaking about your bad times, speaking about your good times, and not having a bit of a laugh along the way. It's been good.
So is it hard making that transition from, I'm guessing with the way you exited through injuries as well, from not being able to play to what do you do with that energy? What do you do with the stories? Is that difficult?
It was. I mean, for 6 months I did nothing. You just kind of gather your thoughts. But the thing that's helped us is the last few years when I was at Blackburn and Bury, I just didn't enjoy going in. I just stopped enjoying it and wanted to be away from it. So that's helped us, rather than it wasn't an instant. I was playing well and then it just got cut short. Mine was a gradual thing where I just kind of knew that I wasn't enjoying playing anymore.
Yeah. And Danny, you're staying around Grimsby next season? You continue playing?
I don't know what's happening yet. No, I've spoke with the manager last week. Actually, he called me and he does want me to stay next season, have another year, but I'm not sure yet. I'll have to wait up over the next few weeks. A few games under me, 42 games under my belt this year. Still feeling okay. And, still feeling quite fit. So I'll keep going and get to the 40 mark, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking for free transfers, Bosman transfers. So if you're up for playing left back,
yeah, I'll pop in next week.
Club captain.
Yeah.
Graham, anything else to add?
No, just
we'll have to wrap this up soon because my lass is going to kill us if I'm supposed to be meeting her for lunch. Or for lunch. For tea, so I'm a bit late.
There's actually a thumb on James's head right now.
Yes, I've tattoo with a thumb.
Can't see it, but it is there. Enjoyed it. My first time.
Catch as well, haven't you?
Yes, going back to Glasgow. My missus is the opposite. She just wants me to stay here, I think. But no, it's been good to be in like a studio instead of in me spare room, speaking to someone I don't know about how shit my team is. Instead of speaking in the studio about how shit my team is. Same shit, but kind of a different arena, shall we say?
Aye. Right, lads, thanks for coming on. Graham, cheers.
Right.
Cheers, lads.
Chris,
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good stuff. Chris, come back sometime, Chris. Both of you, Danny.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Hat-trick.
On for your hat-trick.
Yeah.
Right, I've been James Copley, your host. Thank you for listening to the Roker Rapport podcast and enjoy League One next season.